Irish Army soldiers, members of the Defence Forces, the Navy, the Air Force are living in poverty. 20% are on family income supplement. Families are falling into debt. Morale is at an all-time low. There's a huge amount of soldiers with mental health problems. Why can't the government just pay the soldiers? I come from an army family. Both my dad and my uncle Fran were soldiers. They were both in the army for decades. A lot of people don't know what it's like for the soldiers. They miss Christmases with their family because they're on duty. They could be on duty or on call at all hours. And when there's a storm or a natural disaster, they're the first ones called on to go out and fill sandbags, to go out in all weathers and do what it takes to help out the communities in peril. A lot of working class people, like my dad and uncle, joined the army because it was a steady job. In the late 70s, the Irish economy fell off a cliff, and a lot of working class people joined the army to make sure that they could keep a roof over their kids' heads. But even that's not possible now. Pay is so low and rent is so high, soldiers and their families are in danger of becoming homeless. A survey of 600 members of the Defence Forces showed that morale was at an all-time low. New recruits described the Defence Forces as job bridge. And it's no surprise considering the pay. A 48-hour week on minimum wage would make you €468. But if a soldier does 48 hours, he gets €420. That's €40 less than minimum wage. In what other job would you have to put up with that? And how do they expect the soldiers, Navy or Air Force rank and file to survive and support their families on wages that are below minimum wage? And then, just as the soldiers most need a voice, they're still banned from having any kind of say like other workers. They can't protest. It's against the law. Many soldiers report being afraid to let command know about their stresses because they'll be victimised. And so they pay to go to private mental health services so that it can be kept secret. I mean, the pay for a 3-star private is $27,000 a year. Now, even a kip of an apartment in Dublin will cost you about $1,500. That means that soldiers have just over £700 a month to feed their families. No chance of saving for a holiday. Wives and partners of the Defence Forces have already been out protesting. They're forced to protest because the men and women in the armed forces aren't allowed to. But the wives and partners have made some demands that everybody should support. Number 1, increase the pay. No public sector worker should be living below minimum wage. The second demand the wives and partners have made is that we should allow the soldiers to go to the workplace relations bodies and the LRC. But I'd go further. We need to democratise the army. The soldiers should have full union rights and the right to protest if they need to. They should be able to elect representatives. They should be able to voice their concerns. If they're living in poverty, everyone should know about it. But then again, the establishment parties and the people at the top of the army don't want to give the rank and file a voice. Because if it comes to them using the army to break a bin strike or using the army to replace buses during a bus strike like they did in the 80s, might say no. And the establishment wouldn't like that. They don't like for soldiers and other workers to show solidarity with each other. But it's important that we see the soldiers as workers just like us, and we demand that they have the same rights as the rest of us. I trust the voice of the rank and file any day above any upper class general. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael play a sly game. They cut public sector wages. They cut the soldiers and members of the Defence Forces wages. And then they stand up and give speeches about how it's terrible that the soldiers are in poverty. Young Fine Gael have even been going around the colleges saying support the troops, while their parent party is responsible for the fact that the soldiers are living in poverty. And both Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are responsible for the high rents that are making us all suffer. There's a protest parade in support of the soldiers this Wednesday, the 19th of September. It'll arrive at the Dáil at 1 p.m. We should all be there to support the soldiers, to support the rank and file in the Navy and the Air Force, to say that they deserve better wages, that no worker should be living below minimum wage. The soldiers are your fellow workers. Stand with them.